how to exercise the integration between Guardium and QRadar. So the objective is to catch somebody accessing data they are not supposed to, and we're going to show two things. One is it's actually the policy in Guardium that detects the action, doesn't give the attacker the information he wants, cuts the connection, and also sends a log message to QRadar. So we start by going here into Oracle. Put a space here. So we are into Oracle. We do SQL plus. The user is Joe. The password is that, and so we are in the database. And Joe can do many things, but he's not supposed to, for example, obtain data from credit cards. So if he does a select, he can be even a DB2 admin or Oracle admin, and he's not supposed to do that. If we do select from credit card, notice that he doesn't get the data back, and the communication is actually terminated. So he was blocked from looking at the data. Let's go into Guardium, in the Guardium UI, to see what happened there. So in here, in my dashboard, I created this dashboard that is looking at the, so we have the message was created. Notice the syntax is a leaf format, and I'm going to show you some of the things, some of the tips on how you set this up later. So here we have that, and it's waiting. So in a couple of minutes, this message is actually going to go to QRadar. Okay, so it indicated that it's sent. If we go to QRadar, we should be getting that log message in a minute now. And here we have it. This is the end result. I'm going to show you some of the tips that you need to do to get it. But a couple of things that I want to indicate. One is this is the actual format. Notice that the source identifier is the message starts with G10. This policy here, block suspicious IP, is a policy name I chose, and that implies that you need to do some things if you change the default name of the policies in Guardium. No big deal. And I also wanted to catch the actual command that was issued for this. Before I proceed, I forgot to mention that I work on this with our friends Dale Brockhurst and Bruno Silva. Thank you to both of you. So this is again the end result. Let me actually go back and tell you the things that you need to do in Guardium and QRadar to make this happen. So, and this is not meant to be at all, I don't have the knowledge to make this a Guardium tutorial, but just the key parts of the integration. So I'm here on Protect Policy Builder for Data, and this is the policy that we actually selected. I'm editing that rule, and I'm going to this policy 6, so I'm clicking on the pencil here, and notice that I changed the name and I call it block suspicious IP. So that means that that's the name that is going to go across to the QRadar. The important part in here is to have in the action these three actions: the log and alert. Of course, the SGate terminate is the one that cut the connection to the guy who's not supposed to have issued that select asterisk from credit card. But these two are to get all the details in the log, and this one is to actually ship the logs into QRadar. And there's some good documentation that shows you how to do that, but I want to highlight some of the things that might not be fully clear in the documentation and can save you some time. So let me go into the Guardium console itself. Let me make this bigger, make a bigger font, make it easier to be seen. So I SSH, as you can see here, I SSH into the Guardium box, and that's the address of it. And if we issue a command to see what is it that we had selected for login. So what we have here is if you issue the command show remote log, you see that we have selected daemon.alert and daemon.cret, and actually made it point to the QRadar box in here. If you select in here as all.all, then you're going to get a lot of messages that are not useful for security into QRadar, and that might be increases your EPSs, and that might not be a good thing. So by selecting these two part of the daemon class of services, class of messages, you get that message flowing into QRadar. And to do that, you will issue this command: store remote log at non-encrypted. For the demo, I'm not encrypting the messages, and I'm selecting daemon.crit, and then you do daemon.alert, and you can specify as many of these as you want, the IP address of QRadar, and I'm specifying that this goes on TCP protocol, which the default port is 514. So, and that will get you that. If you want to clear the logs, all you have to issue is the command store remote log clear. Okay, so again, you want to filter and only send the important messages into QRadar. Back in the QRadar console, if I actually go back in time a couple of hours when I started working on this, let me actually find one of the events. Actually, it's better if I only specify the log source Guardium so I don't get all the other stuff. And I go back 6 hours. This is the way that you will first get the events. They will be recognized as log source Guardium, and I'll go into the log sources in a minute, but they will be unknown. Why is that? Well, if we click on it, the reason is precisely the name that we gave to the policy, which is block suspicious IP, which is something that I decided to give, and QRadar doesn't know, well, what do you consider this policy to be? Then what you need to do is actually map that to whatever type of event it is. And so you go in here, and the log source type is going to be Guardium, IBM Guardium, and then you perform a search, and in here, because I already mapped this, it finds that what I selected was actually an access violation, because that's what I considered that it was. There were actually two QIDs, one for access violation, one with severity 4 and severity 5, so I chose the severity 5 in here. And when you do that, then the event begins to be recognized as we see here as access violation, because that's what you selected. The other thing that I consider important to do is I wanted to get the actual command that was issued, because I think that that's useful for the SOC operator. And here we see it. We extract this custom property and we call it SQL command, and we extract it from here. And to do that, you probably know this already in QRadar, but just in case, all you need to do is actually specify the name of the new property. I'm not going to do it because I already did it, so I'm going to just look at the existing property that I have, and I call it SQL command. And here it is, right? And you need to specify the regex that will search for this part, you know, SQL equals and what comes after the SQL equal. And to do that, you select everything that comes after the equal sign and stop on the pipe command. So, and you see that that fits. I'm not going to save it because I did this before, but then that gives you that custom property of the actual command. And to conclude this video, let me actually go into the admin tab and show you the log source that I added. I can actually sort it by last event, and here we have precisely the Guardium 1. And all we specify was the log source identifier, which is G10. As you saw, all the messages begin with this identifier G10, and that was all I have to do because the Guardium DSM is already in QRadar. And when you send that log into QRadar, QRadar will correlate what happened with the machine, shortly before on it, and will, find out how the guy actually got to that particular terminal and issue that command, whether it was an internal work or somebody who compromised a particular machine.